You are listening to the Daily Escape Podcast with Sadie K. Frazier. This episode has been brought to you by Traveling Realms Media.
Hello again, and welcome back. I hope you guys are having a great week full of light, love, and living your wildest dreams out loud. And if you're not, well, then you've come to the right place for sure. We're all a mess here, and you're all welcome. No matter what you're going through, no matter what walk of life you're from, you're all welcome here. Also, if you're new here, I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Escape Podcast. My name is Sadie K. Frazier, and I have created this podcast because honestly, I felt led to do so. I felt a responsibility to share with you my life lessons, my past, my future, and all the in-betweens that make me who I am today. Not because I'm perfect and have all the answers, but because I do not. So here's my motto and the core message behind this new creative journey. I believe in my soul that every great story deserves to be told. The hard truths, the weakest moments, the brokenness manifested into healing. Every single word is worth speaking into existence. You never know who might need those words to survive their own tragic nightmare and slay the demons that they face. So we can be the light, be the truth, be the voice that saves them from themselves. So if you'll allow me to each week, I'd like to be that voice for you, that light, that truth. It's worth working your way through the pain. I promise. Hello. I hope you all are having a great week. We've got a nice long Labor Day weekend coming up, and I cannot wait to have some time off from work to do some of my creative projects. How about you all? Have any big plans? Feel free to hop on Twitter and say hi and let me know what you've been up to. So if you're just joining us, my name is Sadie K. Frazier. You have found yourself on the Daily Escape Podcast. In case you haven't joined us, I would recommend going back and starting with episode 1. We've been talking for the last few weeks about how to declutter your mind to allow your spirit to be set free. So what started, like I said, as a one-topic podcast where I was going to incorporate your mind, your body, your home, your soul, ended up kind of being drug out a little bit, and it ended up being kind of a really cool experience and the reason why I spread it out like this. So this week is part 3 of how to declutter your mind, and this one is called I Am Worthy, I Am Changed, I Am Free. So on last week's episode, we continued our discussion on how to declutter your mind, home, body, and soul to allow your spirit to be set free. And like I mentioned, I intended to make it into one podcast to cover all the areas, but I felt that there was a reason why I was meant to slow down and just kind of focus on all of the aspects in a little bit greater detail instead of rushing through them. I do believe that each one of these pieces of this puzzle that we're kind of creating each week is an essential part of the journey of self-discovery in order to move forward to the next step. I don't feel like, unless we give our hearts and souls to each of these sections, that we can honestly move forward unless we put in the soul work that it'll take to change. So in last week's episode 3, we set our intentions on unpacking our emotional bags and learning how to surrender to change. It was a pretty heavy topic, and by the end of the podcast, I don't know how you all felt, but it really stirred up some feelings within me that kind of nudged me into thinking that maybe I need to spend one more week just kind of wrapping everything up in everything that we talked to about decluttering the mind. So, like I said, we followed the path of letting go of one negative thought pattern each of the last 3 weeks. But last week we delved a little deeper and promised to begin to unearth the who, the when, and the where of our past, as if we were still holding on firm to the lies that we believe. I sense if you guys are anything like me and you really put in the work that it took to uncover some of the underlying issues that we are facing as the things we discussed came forward, I sense that there was progress this week. No matter how small you think it may be, I still think that there was progress. It was still a step forward. So the seed was planted, and that's where true change begins. Now it's your job to continue to unearth that soil around it, to push the seed just a little further into the soil. But what's the one thing that we need to do once the seed has been planted? It's often something we forget to do. We need to water it, don't we? We need to cultivate it until it starts to grow, and then we'll finally see progress as it dares to emerge from the soil and begins to blossom. This is when we know the small changes we're making now and taking root, and we're beginning to change our perspective, our mindset, that we're actually letting go of the weeds and the thorns of the past. So I want to speak to those of you for a moment who aren't seeing the progress that you expected. Maybe you have much deeper traumas, much deeper roots that have entangled themselves in your life through perhaps generation after generation of addiction, of shame, of physical abuse or trauma you've been unable to break. Maybe it's a memory that still tortures your mind, your body, your spirit. Maybe you've been unable to let that go. Is that past trauma you've never allowed yourself to recover from what's keeping you from living out loud and causing you so much pain? I know sometimes you feel hopeless and you're on the brink of wanting to give up. I want you to know that I see you, I hear you, I feel your pain. But you know as well as I do what your next step is. You've always gotten yourself away from the pain as quickly as possible once it starts to reemerge. This is the point in time that in the past, you've thrown up your hands in despair. You proclaim nothing ever works. Instead of staying in the moment and feeling your way through it, you run, you escape. You hide from those demons and you push them away the second things begin to get real. Remember we talked last week about allowing yourself to remain in the pain and working our way through the pain, not trying to find anything that makes it easier to get around it. Some run to addictions like drugs, alcohol, sex, and even money. Whatever makes you feel better in the moment and stop the fears from submerging you again. But those fixes you think are helping are only temporary solutions to a problem that simply isn't going to go away, is it? There comes a point when you have to face the truth that these memories, these fears, these deep-seated traumas are only obstacles blocking you from change, from complete freedom to live your life as you were meant to. In other words, these addictions, these distractions, they're keeping us anchored to our past. We must surrender everything we thought we knew, that we believed in, that we suffered from, in order to change. And there's power in feeling that pain. It doesn't feel like it at the time. I know from experience it doesn't feel like it in the moment. But afterwards, there's power in finding your truth and facing it head on. There is power waiting for you on the other side of change if you'll do the work it takes to climb that mountain. Now, I read a quote by an author, Debbie Ford, and she wrote, "Surrender is a gift that you can give yourself. It's an act of faith. It's saying that even though I can't see where this river is flowing, I trust it will take me in the right direction." That's a really good way to look at that, and I've never thought about that before. It feels like work. When we say surrender, it feels like we're giving up something, doesn't it? But we're actually giving ourselves a gift. Just by being here with me and continuing to show up each week, you're headed in the right direction. Sometimes it feels too heavy, too much to bear. And though we're taking those baby steps to move beyond, sometimes it still feels like too much. It does to me too. We all have those kind of days. And that's okay. There are days we're just going to feel that way. Those days suck. I know they do. They feel never ending sometimes, don't they? And they feel like we're just not making any progress forward. But I'm here to encourage you to keep up the good fight. It does get easier, I promise. I've been there, and I feel like if you don't experience those things, things will never change. Change is there to enact feelings within you to make you want to change. You will get to the point where you say, I don't want to be stuck here anymore in this place. And I've been there. I felt like things would never change, but it will. It always does. I would also caution you that if those days that you're feeling like that turn into weeks, turn into months, turn into not being able to function or live some semblance of your normal life without being completely overwhelmed or anxious, or the depression is so deep that you can't find your way out of the darkness, there's no shame in asking for help, in begging for a lifeline. I would encourage you that if you do feel this way, to please reach out to a counselor or a therapist. If those thoughts become overwhelming to the point you feel hopeless and unable to live your best life, just reach out. Maybe you're struggling with an addiction that you're unable to stay sober, unable to stop the repetitive cycle of an illness that's consuming your life and ruining relationships. It's destroying your hope. It's keeping you from surrendering to the change you know you desperately need to make. Just know that you're worth giving yourself the gift of surrender. I want you to take a leap of faith today and say out loud with me, I am worth getting sober. I am worth staying clean. I am worth seeking help today. It's my day one, my promise to myself to change. Even though I can't see where the river is flowing or where the path in front of me will lead, I surrender all that I've been holding on to. I lay down that fear, the pain, the addictions that have kept me shackled to the past for far too long. And I say right now, thank you, universe, for leading me to this moment of change, for guiding me to a place of hope where I recognize I have nothing to lose. It's now or never. And I choose for this to be my day one, my first step to recovery. And although the mountain before me may seem too much to conquer on my own, I will reach out for help if I need to, and I will not suffer in silence any longer. I trust that though I cannot see the light, it is just beyond the darkness that is crumbling before me as I speak these words into existence. And I trust that all of these changes are leading in the right direction and will change my life. I want you to take what I just read and put your headphones in and listen to that just as many times as you need to until you start to believe that. Until you believe that there is hope in the possibility of change. So now is a good time for us to take a little bit of a break. When we come back, I'm going to be talking to kind of a more specific group of people that are near and dear to my heart, and that is all the younger single moms that are out there. And I will have a message to share with you when we get back. Stay tuned. And welcome back. I'm your host, Sadie K. Frazier, and you've joined us on the Daily Escape podcast. So, as tends to happen on this podcast, I had everything written out and planned out, things that I wanted to talk about and share with you today. And on my way home from work, I made a new playlist for September just because it's a brand new month and I just needed some new music to motivate and inspire me. So I ran across a song by Pink. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but it's called Circle Game. And I would encourage you to pull it up and kind of listen to the lyrics. But I just want to speak to young mamas out there and say, I know that it's hard for you right now. For some reason, I'm really in tune with all the young moms out there, you mamas out there that are raising your babies without daddies, trying to be both for them, sometimes feeling like you're failing them because you're just so overwhelmed. There is hope for you too. I know it feels hard. You can't just hand them off when they're getting fussy, when you need to go take a shower, all that kind of stuff. There doesn't seem to be anything beyond that life right now for you, but I promise you that there's a whole life waiting for you beyond these years. And I know it feels hard, and it is, but someday all your dreams are going to come true. You just can't give up the fight. You have to keep working your way through it. And it's all so worth it, guys. I promise you. I've raised 5 babies myself, and I understand, but I've never had to do it alone. I have been blessed in having a wonderful husband who, I'll share my story later. I did go through a divorce. I had 3 kids with him, and I went through a very traumatic period of time where we were separated for a while, and it just about destroyed me. But I've learned from that, and I've learned how valuable that time with your babies is. So I don't want you to get lost within these hard moments right now. These memories that you're making with your babies will last a lifetime, and they will carry you through some of the most darkest moments that you'll ever face. So don't let your time with them be spoiled by feeling overwhelmed via aloneness. Just, it's too much sometimes. I know that. But your time is coming, Mama. Right now, you need to stand tall and be strong and learn how to stand on your own. You find your tribe and you help one another get through this. Life is hard enough without us fighting against one another. So forgive each other, pull close to those who love you, and just don't let yourself get lost within these hard moments. Learn from those experiences. There are those who have made it through and they're on the other side like I am. I'm well into my 50s now, and my babies are adults. And there's, I'm offering you hope, and at the same time telling you that there are some things as you grow older and you start. I don't have to raise my kids anymore, but there's some difficult times that we have to go through when you find a whole new set of things to worry about when you have adult children. When they start having physical problems or kids of their own, or they become single moms. It's difficult to watch them go through that as well. But like I said, I'm here to just offer you hope that it's all going to be okay, I promise. The biggest thing you need to remember is to give those babies everything you have, even when you don't feel like you can go on or that you can give any more than what you're already giving. I promise you that they're worth it. And in their eyes, you're Superwoman. They rely on you for everything at this point, and you're their entire world. So don't let that world crumble. Give them everything you've got, and I promise you, it's going to be okay. And like I said, there's a lot I can offer as far as words of advice or as a spiritual guide to lead you in the direction you should go. But beyond that, there are times it's okay to admit that you've had enough and to reach out for help. It's okay to admit that you can't do it alone. So whenever you're ready, sometimes you need to take a step back. And that's one of the things I liked about that song by Pink. She talks about, it says, "Can you give me just 1 second to make it through these growing pains? I know that it's just life and I must go through things alone, but I'm feeling kind of small and I want a hand to hold." So basically what she's saying is she's had a rough day and she just kind of wants to find a hiding place and not really have to be a grown-up. So sometimes, like I said, when you're a single mom or you're on your own, you don't really have a choice and you have to move forward. So wherever you're at, I just want you to know that when you're ready, you can start over. You can set a new day one anytime you want. You can pick up where you left off and you can begin again. That's really the beautiful thing about life. It's never too late to start over, and it's never too soon to set new goals and shoot for the stars at any point in your life. We find it so easy to extend kindness and grace to others in their time of need. I can guarantee you, especially with the single mom community, I've seen my daughter and some of her best friends they would do anything for each other. If you have $10 and you don't have enough to feed your own kids, you're going to make that $10 stretch so that your best friend and her babies are still going to be able to eat. Somehow you make it work. And you step in and you help others. So what I've seen though is that you're all, including myself, way too hard on ourselves. So our focus now needs to be on allowing ourselves the freedom to make mistakes, to admit when we're wrong and need a course correction. And then we let grace and mercy flow in so we can allow ourselves to forgive ourselves and begin again. You're changing, you're growing in ways that feel uncomfortable, but most of all, you're worthy of that change. What I want you to remember most when I'm sharing my thoughts and feelings with you is, like I said before in all the podcasts I've done so far, I'm right there with you. I might have the words to share with you or the insights to help you grow, but it doesn't mean I'm not struggling too. So one of my experiences this week, my husband shared a Facebook memory with me, and honestly, all it did was make me sad at first. It was of us taking some author pics, and he had videotaped me. I was all dressed up, my hair was done, my makeup was on, and I was smiling. I was enjoying myself without a care in the world, and I even blew him a kiss. And the reason why it made me sad is because I realized how long it's been since I've actually felt like that, since I felt that free. It wasn't more than just maybe 2 years ago. I felt playful, that unencumbered in my own skin feeling. As with many of you out there, maybe you're going through changes in your own life too that have made you feel less than, not quite who you used to be, and I feel that deeply. For me, it's come along with all the hormonal changes that our friend menopause brings with it. I'm actually going to get into that a little deeper in some of the course outlines that I'm building for all of you to take too, and I hope you have some time to kind of look into my website and look at some of the big announcements in that area that are coming very soon. I've actually created my own online business called In Pursuit of Purpose, and my website is www.thedailyescapepodcast.com. And if you want to just kind of look through that, I just kind of briefly touched on some of the courses that I want to be working on. But anyway, that's something that I'm going to be expounding on a little bit more, is all the changes we've been through, especially people who are my age that are now waking up and realizing, hey, my babies aren't here anymore. What do I do with myself? Where's my purpose? What's my point of my adult life now that my babies are gone? I don't have them to raise. There's all kinds of situations where maybe you're finding yourself more alone now that you've gotten to be this age. So back to feeling sad about the video my hubby shared with me. My self-esteem lately has been just taking a nosedive, and I believe in myself. I really do. I believe that the universe has led me to this point to be able to share this podcast and the coursework, everything I'm working on. I firmly believe that I am meant to be doing this. I'm an author, I'm a counselor, I'm studying to be a life coach, I'm a wife, I'm a mom. And it's taken me a long time to get here, but I'm thrilled with the future that I see unfolding in unexpected ways before me. It truly lights me up and sets my soul on fire again. But I feel like there's so many little triggers lately that it seems to just keep taking away from my sense of self-worth that basically is stealing my joy. So this week I'm going to again challenge you, and I'm going to do it myself also. Just let that part of your life go. Nothing is worth stealing your joy, ladies. Nothing. We are meant to be beautiful beings of light and love and joy. And I think it's time that we rediscover all that means on all levels, whether it be our beautifully wide open minds, our caretaking abilities for our home, our kids, our significant others, even of ourselves. We forget to take care of ourselves. How about our sexuality, our sensuality, our ability to multitask a million things at once, yet still learn to be silent when we need to grow and we need to learn? So why not begin working to release the power we have right now that these thoughts of feeling less than have over you and over me too? Why not set your intention to change right here, right now, and start the process of healing once and for all? I'm going to take another 1 minute break here or so, and I'll be back to kind of wrap things up and pull this all together. I want us to set a new intention this week as well, and we'll work together to figure the rest of this out. Stay tuned. All right, we are back to kind of wrap things up here. So, one of the questions I wanted to ask you all is how did you do last week with setting your intention and sticking to it? I had decided for my intention this week I wasn't going to change a thing. I kept mine the same because it meets me where I am in this moment and I still needed it to hold on to. So, my intention this week again is I aspire to be fearless and resolute where all obstacles will melt before me. And I just want to know if you guys want to hop on Twitter when you see this post come up or wherever you want to make comments on whatever social media site you're listening to this on. Just leave me some comments and let me know what your inspiration was this week, what your intention was. So, my intention, like I said, was I aspire to be fearless. Now, I haven't always been fearless. Most of the time, I'm fearful. I let anxiety and worry and stressing about things I can't control get the best of me. I did it just today. In those moments, I forget to surrender and just let it flow. But I do remain resolute despite my shortcomings to keep crawling, to keep walking, to keep climbing that mountain until all obstacles melt away before me. Till I'm finally on the other side of living my best life in joy and celebration of this change. Also, I'd like to know, how did you do with unpacking your bag last week? Some of you that are just joining us, we talked about unpacking our bags, our emotional bags. So some of you may have been carrying more than one, in fact. And I want to remind you again that as we wrap up this 3-part segment of decluttering our minds, that we all have baggage. Some of us heavier than others for sure. And no one else can tell you the timing or the steps you need to take either. We all handle our trauma, our pain, our individual experiences differently. So remember last week I read to you the following, and I needed it so much last week. I have much work yet to do, so I'm just going to remind you also. To be honest, I uncovered a few hidden pockets, some zippers I found locks on that I was unable to open just yet until the time is right, until I find the keys I need to unlock that part of my past and learn to let it go. So the quote was, "We all have a bag. We all pack differently. Some of us are traveling light. Some of us are secret hoarders who haven't parted with a memory in our lives. I think we are all called to figure out how to carry our bag to the best of our ability, how to unpack it, and how to face the mess. I think part of growing is learning how to sit down on the floor with all of your things and figuring out what to take with you and what to leave behind." And that quote was by Hannah Bruncher of Power of Words. Now, those very traumas or life experiences that you've survived just may be what leads you to discover that your life purpose is to teach others to heal. As you continue to sort through all the junk, all the nonsense, all the lies you no longer wish to hold on to, remember that there will be obstacles and items you want to pick up and carry with us again, no matter how toxic they may be. We will work to keep ourselves from revisiting that past that has held us back from living our wildest dreams and becoming who we're meant to be. I urge you to continue to repack and unpack as many times as necessary your emotional bag. Fill it with all the things you need to thrive now. So declutter your minds and learn to refill those empty spaces with things that motivate and uplift you. Feed your minds with new things, joyful things, such as courses, music, motivational podcasts, and daily messages from inspirational spirit junkies until it replaces old thoughts and beliefs and lies that have held you back and kept you from living your best life. Now remember, like I said, there will be obstacles and things that stand to block you from realizing your calling, your dreams. But as we set our intention, I aspire to be fearless and resolute where all obstacles will melt away before me, we will feel our minds begin to declutter, to open, to be free. We will stand in awe as we watch that mountain begin to crumble like sand as we complete the soul work necessary to move through them, not around them. And we will shout it from the mountaintop, "I am worthy, I am changed, I am free." Wow. What a powerful moment that will be. And I will be standing beside you to guide you, to encourage you, and to uplift you all the way. So in the next part of this series, we're going to be talking about ways to declutter our homes next week, both our physical and our spiritual homes. And I hope you'll continue this journey and see where it leads for us both. Will you join me again next week as we take the next steps in becoming more than we ever thought imaginable? As we learn that nothing is too big to handle when we step out of the way and let the universe guide us. My wish is that I have provided you with hope, that I have uplifted you. Maybe I've made you laugh, maybe I've made you cry, but I hope most of all I've made you want to scream out loud, I can do this. Yes, I can. So chin up, my friend. You've taken the first step and it's all uphill from here. So straighten your crown, take a deep breath in and let it all go. I believe in you. You've got what it takes and so do I. And so does your tribe, so lean on them. And together we'll make it through day by day and piece by piece until we're restored, healed, and find joy in the journey once again. I hope you all have a great week and a nice long Labor Day weekend. Hang in there and know that you are loved from here to the universe and back. Until next time, I'm unconditionally yours. All my love, Sadie.
Come out and play. It's Saturday, and I promise I'll love you much better now. The sour taste will wash away, 'cause I promise I'm better now. Wouldn't hold it against you if you say that you don't wanna get close to me, close to what we used to be. But I just feel like dancing. Are you feeling it too? Oh baby, won't you love me? Won't you love me? Won't you love me? Love me like yesterday. Don't you feel it? How it feels, babe. Won't you love me the old kind of new way? Love me like yesterday.
I am your host, Sadie K. Frazier, and this has been another episode of the Daily Escape Podcast.